everyone to Brooklyn Heights Pizza for the first Lion Nation podcast of the 2024 season. Being joined by Coach Chris Price. Just real quick, turn that crowd level way down. So turn number 4 all the way. Yeah, that one. Turn it. Yeah, there we go. And then turn that other mic back up. Turn number 2 back up. Okay. Yeah, we're good to go. Are we ready? Let's try this one more time, Coach. It's a live stream, so all of that was, of course, broadcast out to everyone.
It's
but
okay.
just like there's a preseason in preparation for the season in
Absolutely.
football, there's the same kind of thing that goes on here, and hopefully, y'all won't have these kind of mistakes on Friday night.
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
But Coach, you've been around for about 4 seasons now.
Yes, sir.
This your 4th or 5th?
Going into 5th, yeah.
Going into the 5th, and obviously every year because of the nature of high school, you lose a group of players, but then you gain a new group of players in the program. So you lose your seniors and you get some freshmen. And of course, you've talked to those guys while they're at the middle school, so you already know them, the players on a personal level. But the parents don't know you as well necessarily. They may have met you, they may have come up and talked to you. But let's talk a little bit about Coach Price to open this podcast this season. Tell us about your collegiate experience and a little bit about how you ended up at Leander High School.
Yeah, sure. Played football at Howard Payne University. Grew up in Dallas-Fort Worth area, and when I started my coaching career, I was actually able to go back to the DFW and start there. I was in Keller ISD to start my career, and then kind of migrated around the state of Texas a little bit. I coached in places like Bernie and Mahia, and then went back to the Metroplex again. You can't hear me? You got me now? Oh, gotcha. Thank you, Malachi.
I can
Went
hear
back,
you.
yeah, perfect. Went back to Keller ISD, and I was the defense coordinator there for about 6 years before I came to Leander as the head coach, and so spent the majority of my career coaching on the defensive side of the ball, but had a little time coaching the offensive line, which is always fun.
Hey, they're like the defensive guys on offense.
Yeah, they're the most fun group to be around. They're always actually, for as mean as everybody needs them to be, they're typically the most fun-loving guys in the room.
They are.
Typically, so
Sometimes the smartest guys too.
a lot of times they're the smartest guys. Most of our, IB kids and advanced placement kids that are in our program now, a lot of those guys are offensive linemen. So always a fun group to work with and be around. So, I've had a chance to coach a little bit of every position and, been in a lot of different places in Texas.
Well, what drew you to Leander?
Yeah, I think we're always just kind of from a professional standpoint looking for places that have similar characteristics to places that you've enjoyed throughout your career. And, I look at Leander and see it as a growing area and see, all of the new schools that are coming online, a lot of the growth coming out from Austin and from other states. And it reminds me of a lot of the places that I've been before. And, the kids work really, really hard. And that's, you can see that whether you're in the district or just looking at it from the outside, how hard they work and how well they perform in the classroom. There are some things that we don't worry about as much as some other places maybe. Our kids take care of their business. They do what they're supposed to do on the academic side of it, which makes, what we do on the extracurricular side of it a little bit easier.
But and you mentioned there may not be as many worries here at Leander as there may be at other places, but Leander has its own set of worries, and we'll get into that in a moment. But I want you to talk a little bit about your family life, as much as you'd like to reveal.
Sure.
What did you do this summer? Did you get a vacation, anything like that?
Sure. We got a chance to head to the beach in Galveston and enjoy that with my family. It was a lot of fun. And in the summer, we still run summer strength conditioning camps and do those things. And a couple of years ago, we were allowed by the UIL to start, this UIL skills where we get to actually do football stuff in the summer.
Mm-hmm.
And so we spent a lot of time with the kids, even over the summer. So, sometimes the vacation is not necessarily away from the building. Sometimes it's just the fact that you're not dealing with some of the other pieces of it.
Right.
And, the school bells aren't ringing. You just get to kind of
You could
focus
do
on the
the stuff
football
that you
tournament.
want to do the most.
Absolutely.
Not that that other stuff is bad
No,
necessarily, but it's further down on the list
absolutely.
of things that you enjoy, obviously. So the Third Coast, you were down at the Third Coast at Galveston.
Third
So
Coast.
one of the things and we'll shout out Brooklyn Heights in a minute. I know I told you, Juan, that I'm going to shout them out. I'm going to shout them out here momentarily. One of the things that you're dealing with here at Leander that is kind of new, and even though I'm around the school, doing broadcasts throughout the year, I was completely unaware until I looked up one day. I drove out of my neighborhood, and a big chunk of the athletic building is just gone.
Sure.
So talk to us a little bit about the changes that are occurring there, how the program is managing with basically less space and resources, and what we can look forward to when that eventually is completed.
Yeah, we're really lucky at Leander High School to have had a bond passed here in the last cycle, which is going to give us an opportunity to completely redo the athletics wing at Leander High School. So that means a new gym, a new weight room, new locker spaces for all the programs at Leander High School, and Leander historically is a great, a great place, a great building.
Been around for a long
Been
time.
around for a long
I
time.
played in that stadium. Well,
Sure.
the older version of that
Yes,
stadium.
sir. But it hasn't necessarily, grown with the number of people that we have now. We've rezoned the district, and now we have a lot of kids coming in from a lot of other places in our district, but we also have a lot of people just migrating to our area. So, all of our programs see a growth in numbers, and so to expand the locker rooms and give everybody enough access, enough dressing space eventually will be very, very good for our program. But there are growing pains right now. We've lost our primary weight room. We've set up a temporary weight room in one of our auxiliary gyms, which has turned into a really, really good space. All the coaches on campus contributed something to get it up and running, and so it's functional, and all of our programs can use it. They're building the expansion for the new weight room in the old back circle. If you're familiar with Leander High School, which is kind of adjusted how we're going to look at parking. We have a lot more people walking around our campus every day, and a lot of trucks, and so there's a lot of traffic, some parking issues. I think as fans come to games on Friday night at Bible, they're going to notice some things that are different. I'll say it now. We're going to ask everybody that's a home side attending the game on the home side to make sure you're parking on the home side, because they took away the visitor side access to Bible Stadium. You can't get from the Baghdad entrance over to the home side lot. So those are things that are going to be issues with.
Well, and so people should be prepared to drop off.
Sure.
Because unless they're going to buy a reserve spot, right?
Sure.
I think the Booster Club still sells reserve spots for that area right behind the press box. They even kicked me out of there last year. I had to park. We had to go drop the equipment off and then go park a little further out.
Yeah.
I'm still early enough that I get fairly close in
Yeah.
the additional parking, but it is something that people need to be aware of.
Sure.
And people tend to want things to be comfortable and easy for them, but sometimes, as you mentioned, we call it growing pangs. You got to go through that to get to where you want to be. And you mentioned wanting to come into an area that is similar to places that you've coached previously. Often when I talk to coaches, especially new coaches to Leander High School, one of the things they say is that they've when they became a coach and they knew they wanted to coach in Central Texas, they wanted to coach in LISD.
Yeah.
And so they get an opportunity to, in my opinion, the flagship school of the district. You get a chance there, you want to jump on that as quick as you can. And so we've benefited from some coaches, but by the nature of the profession, there is some turnover that you deal with every year, right?
Sure. Yeah. You have we have one position that did turn over this year, and Coach Aguirre, I hope is in the back, is going to come up and introduce himself to everybody. He's joining us from Round Rock McNeil.
Okay.
And then we also had a spot that, we haven't been able to fill for the last couple of years. And so we were actually able to fill that this year with Dominic Sewell, who's actually a Leander High School graduate. So he's kind
There's
of
another
coming
one
back
right here
home.
on
Yes.
the broadcast.
Yes. And
Class of '08 over here. He's a youngster.
one thing I will say is we have a lot of people on our campus that graduated from Leander High School and come back and want to, either enter the teaching profession or the coaching profession back at Leander High School. So that's a really, really unique thing to
Well, and I'll
dabble
say
with.
this, and I've probably mentioned this before in past broadcasts. I played against Leander when I played high school football, so I had a disdain for Leander because they were good, and
Sure.
they were always an issue for us at Midway. But now, after having lived in this community, I see the draw
Sure.
to want to still be a part of Leander High School, even after you've moved on. And that doesn't mean that you're hanging on to your glory days of high
Right.
school necessarily. It's just there really is an importance in investing in young people
Sure.
wherever you can do it, whether it's through your church, whether it's through the community center, or a football program like this. And so that's why I think that it's a draw for talented people to want to come here, because that is the focus
Yep.
is to develop young men and women here at Leander High School. So I think you've done a great job with that, Coach. And you mentioned that we have at least, did you say two new staff
Two
members?
new staff members.
So, and it was Coach Aguirre
and
and
Coach Sewell.
Coach Sewell.
Yeah.
Now let's talk a little bit about your returners, offensively and defensively. What is the average fan that may not be a family member? What do they need to look at for offensively and defensively to be standouts this year?
Yeah, we're really excited. This is the most returners we've had back on a team across the board. So we have a lot of guys returning on offense and a lot of guys returning on defense that have a ton of varsity experience, which is going to be really, really good. So offensively, again, we start with our big boys, our offensive linemen. Our center is returning,
Yep.
Ryan Casimir,
He's
which
had a couple of good seasons already.
has played a lot of football for us here at Leander High School. He's at the most important position.
Yeah.
Like he's got to start it all every play.
Of course, that's the position I played too.
Yes, sir. And so to have a guy back that has games under his belt is really big, especially as you're kind of moving up some of the younger guys that don't have as much experience. He's really kind of the captain of that group and getting those guys going.
Like the middle linebacker or the quarterback of the offensive line.
Absolutely. Very important to have a guy with experience there. And then we have a couple of quarterbacks that are coming back that both have had an opportunity to play in a varsity game, and that's Logan Mitchell and Mason Montgomery. Both of them are very, very incredible arm talent. They have great arms and can really throw the ball. And I think probably the part that's most surprising is when you get them on the track and just watch them run.
Yeah, above average foot speed for a quarterback,
Yeah.
especially that big of a quarterback.
Absolutely. And both of them are pretty big kids and they can really run. And then we have returning running back. We have returning receivers. Zane Woolridge was our all-purpose yards leader last year. He's only, I
He
think,
pretty much plays all the offensive positions, a couple on defense too.
sure. Yeah, he can do a lot. He's big for us in the punt return and kickoff return game. And then we have a lot of guys that had varsity experience in limited roles last year that can step into some starting roles this year. So all of that matters. And then, defensively, we have some guys at linebacker that played some different positions last year. Nick Parsons played a lot of defensive end for us, but is going to step up and be the Mike linebacker for us this year. And we're really excited. He's going to get a chance to use his voice a little bit more to kind of command things. It's a little bit harder to do on the defensive line. So that's going to be a big part for us. And then we have a returning corner who's incredible, Malachi Filan, who played a ton of games for us. I mean, he started for 2 years. I think he was up as a sophomore and then played limited reps and then has had an opportunity to hold that spot for 2 years. And then at free safety, really, really important piece on the defense. We have Jake Bridwell returning, who we're really excited about as well. He's got a great command of what needs to get done, and the kids love him and respect him, and so he can really kind of lead that group.
So in terms of new faces, guys that are coming up from sub varsity that are going to make the team, or potential transfers in, is there anybody that stands out that the average fan needs to be aware of?
Sure. We have a couple of young offensive linemen that are going to step up and fill in some, you know, spot roles.
Mhm.
Jeffrey Moffitt is one that first comes to mind. He's a guard slash tackle kid. He's kind of a utility knife, so to speak. You can kind
Yeah,
of play couple of
those guys are
multiple positions.
valuable,
Absolutely. You can't ever have enough linemen.
right?
And then we have a young running back, Kamarion Gordon, who's going to help EJ out with some of those running back duties. We had a great year on JV. He moved into us last year from Arkansas. He and his brother Travion, who's going to play some receiver for us.
So they're coming in from the land
Arkansas.
of the hog, huh?
Yes, sir.
Hey, they play good football there in Arkansas.
Yes, sir. They do.
They don't mess around, and they like to run the football quite a bit. Well, let's talk about, and I'll let you after this go over there and get you some pizza. I know
Sure.
you've had a long day, but talk about Pflugerville a little bit. We opened the season with a victory over Pflugerville at home, and it was looked like it was going to be a game that the Lions pulled away, and Pflugerville kind of kept it remotely close. They're probably, it's one of the oldest rivalries in Central Texas, Pflugerville and Leander.
Yeah.
So they're out for revenge. They're out for blood. They get us at the field. So, we've got to go there and not back down to,
Absolutely.
a team that generally has good size and good talent, especially at the skill positions. Give us your thoughts on Pflugerville and what we can expect.
Yeah, they're talented again, like you said, at the skill positions. The quarterback is a returning starter, Cole Taylor. He's the son of head coach Charles Taylor over there at Pflugerville. So he understands what he's doing from an offensive standpoint. They have one of the top-rated tight ends in the state of Texas. He was there for them last year, number 85. Very talented, lines up in a lot of different spots. Like you said, they always have good running backs. There's kind of a running back by committee situation
Yeah,
for
they
them
could
right
just
now.
bring some guy off the bench you hadn't heard of, and he'll be good.
Yeah. So they got a lot of talent at those skill positions. Defensively, they have a couple of linebackers that are pretty solid, and they're always pretty good on the back end and the secondary. And so, it's going to be about us, controlling the clock and making sure that we give our defense some blows when they need it, and then being opportunistic and taking advantage of turnovers when we have chances. And we were really good against them and have been for the last couple of years in the return game. So we've had some big kickoff returns in situations over the last couple of years that have really put us in good shape. Some have scored, but some have just given us a short field, which helps us out quite a bit. So it's going to be about tackling well and
minimize the mistakes too. Yep. Yeah. One of the things that is frustrating, I'm sure for you probably more than anyone, but as an average fan or somebody covering the game, are those pre-snap penalties on the offensive side of the ball, especially. Sure. Put yourself behind the chains. If we can minimize those kinds of mistakes, then we can compete with anyone, in my opinion.
Sure. And I think we've had an opportunity to have 2 scrimmages here to start the season, and I think we had 1 pre-snap penalty last week and none in the week before, and so it helps when you have a lot of guys coming back and doing it again.
Yeah, that experience makes a big difference.
And you have leaders in the right spot. You have a center that can settle the offensive line down as we kind of get those extended drives, and a quarterback that can kind of manage the whole game. And same thing defensively, paying attention to the ball, not jumping off sides. Those are things that as you get more reps, you get better at just being comfortable waiting on the snap and watching the snap and not just trying to initiate on first down. And so we have a lot of guys that have done it a lot of times before. And so, we expect those things to be minimized.
Excellent. Well, Coach, go enjoy yourself some pizza.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you for coming out and joining us on the broadcast tonight. I guess we're going to have Coach Grissom.
No, we're actually
was a football playing jack. This guy can do it. Real linebacker in the stack, Coach.
Well, if he has any eligibility left, let's go. We're actually
got any eligibility. You graduated, didn't you?
Yeah, I graduated.
Yeah, no, there you go.
going to bring up
You had to be a scholar.
a very special guest, our
Okay.
head cheer captain, Miss
Okay.
Emily Grissom.
That's a good. I knew you were going to throw me a curveball, Coach. So let's welcome Emily Grissom. Real quick, Lion Nation, while you're here, let's shout out Brooklyn Heights on 3. Give them a real big go Lions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Go Lions!
Go Lions. Let's hear it for Brooklyn Heights, everybody. Come on. Hi, Emily.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I might ask you some embarrassing questions here. Emily, you're the captain for the cheer squad, and if I recall, you have some national designations that you were awarded recently. Can you talk a little bit about what that is and what that entailed?
Yes, sir. I am a 4-time All-American for cheer. I'm obviously the captain, and I was also awarded a UCA staff. Like they want me to be
That's
UCA
the
staff.
one. Yeah, that's the one. So, people don't really know this about cheer, but it is probably the most popular and expensive sport in the country. It's and the competitions and just the injuries that are involved in cheer exceed any other sport, even contact sports like football. Talk
Yes, it's a-
about that stuff.
Yes, it's a lot on my body and a lot on other girls' bodies as well. I'm fighting through an Achilles injury right now, personally, and then I had surgery on my hand.
You see that?
Yes, 2 Novembers ago, and so it's been a lot, but it's so addicting to like be the best, and so
It's worth it.
it is worth it at the end of the day.
Now, I mentioned that I would probably embarrass you.
Okay.
When I first met your parents at a football game here at Leander High School, you used to come to the games. You were probably between, I don't know, 3 and 5 years old,
Oh goodness.
and you would dress up just like you were on the cheer squad and when you were a little girl.
Yes.
So is this something that you've always wanted, even from an early age, or?
Yeah, I've always wanted to be the cheer captain, and I've always there's pictures of me in a little cheer uniform, a Leander cheer uniform from like the ages of 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember, and just remember going, look how adorable that is. She's dressed up just like the cheerleaders out on the floor, or out on the field. When speaking of floors, you do cheer. It's not just football, right? You know, I've seen you at basketball games. You know, where else do you do cheer?
I'm a competitive cheerleader up at Tumble Tech, and I'm on the level 5 there. It's called Gunsmoke, and we had a very good season last year, and I'm on it again. So hopefully, we'll come home as national champions this year.
So, are you considering that position that they're recruiting you for with the national organization?
I'm not sure right now. I'm planning on cheering in college,
Uh-huh.
so not quite sure where I'm going there yet. But Oklahoma is a big one right now.
Are they recruiting you
I'm in the recruitment process right now. So,
with OU?
yes, sir.
You know, I'm gonna have to give you a horns up for that.
No, no way.
That's okay. It is a good school, you know, and I'll say the same thing about A&M. My Longhorn friends and family will argue against that, but you know, ultimately these are powerhouse institutions in the states they exist in,
SEC.
and quality programs in each of them. So.
Yes.
And you know, besides it being in Norman, Oklahoma, it's a pretty good place.
There's literally it's nothing, and then you hit Norman, and it's like Oklahoma.
It's like a mini Austin
Yes.
almost. So,
Yes.
talk a little bit about that recruitment process to OU. Did they reach out to you? Did you reach out to them? How did that work?
With college cheer, you're supposed to like go to camps and clinics and all the things, and then I introduced myself to the coach, and she was interested in me, and so I'm sending her videos right now of me tumbling, stunting, and doing all the things that they want, and they like
So
me
your
a lot.
highlight reel,
My highlight
basically.
reel, yes.
So is that on Huddle, just like the football highlights are? You know, because they do basketball that way as well.
It's kind of private with cheer, and then they
So it's whatever your mom filmed or whatever your dad filmed, and so you put together a little compilation and send it to the school that you want it to, right?
Yes. My mom had to open up her Facebook account from being private, so she's getting all these different friend requests, and she's like,
From different recruiters. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just always go and look at their profile, and make sure they're a recruiter before you accept the friend request. So, well, what do you look forward to the most? You're a senior, right?
Yes, sir.
So what do you look forward to the most this your senior year?
Oh, I'm just excited for football season. I love football season, and I'm so excited for these boys to go out there and show what they got this year. And then I'm also just so excited for baseball season, of course. My dad's the head baseball coach.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I'm the stat girl as well, so keep the books for baseball. I'm just excited for this year. I'm excited to be the
Hasn't hit
oldest.
you yet that this is the last year for you?
It hasn't yet. I think it will hit senior night for football season.
A lot of
Like,
times it doesn't though, until it's, almost too late and you're like even graduated and you're like, what happened?
Don't
You know,
blame-
everything is different.
Blank.
I'm trying not to take like anything for granted. Like
Yeah.
I'm super excited to go to college, but like at the same time, I'm like, I don't want to leave. Like it's exciting to be here.
Well, and normally I get annoyed when people take too many selfies, but in your situation, you need to take pictures with all of the
Right.
people that mean the most to you throughout the year. Don't
Yeah.
let those moments go by. When you go to college, you're going to be away from your parents, and whether you believe it or not, there's a certain dependency that you've developed over the years with them,
Right.
and that's going to be kind of gone, right? They're not going to be right around the corner. I'm sure Coach Grissom will jump in his vehicle and
Oh,
haul
yeah.
butt to Norman as soon as he needs to.
Apartment up there.
There
I'm
you
like,
go.
y'all are coming with? Oh yeah. But
Well, ultimately, just enjoy these moments.
Yeah.
These guys, they're not going to realize it. I always tell them towards the end of the year, and we should probably do it to them now when we interview them now, but you really have to enjoy the moment, the present, because there's a lot in your future, right? And it's easy to get distracted with what's in your present by what you have ahead of you. Don't let those moments slip by you, because you will regret it,
No.
and you will miss. No matter if you have 4 years at OU and you're the executive director one day of the National Cheer Association. It doesn't matter. You're going to always look back at these years as fondly,
Right.
and so enjoy them, make the memories that you can.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just like it's gonna be weird. I've been at Leander my whole life. Like I didn't remember ever not running around on that football field, or
Right.
You may be back. You may be the cheer coach one
Oh.
day. You never know.
probably will be. I'm going into education, so probably.
That's possible.
Pride never dies. So,
Yeah.
Hey, and I'm sure I'm not, I don't have any bearing on hiring here at Leander ISD, but I would recommend that, if the current cheer coach moves on, that be filled by someone like yourself. So
Thank you so
thank
much.
you for your time,
Thank
Emily.
you.
We appreciate it.
I was gonna say we have a pep rally this Friday,
Uh-huh.
space theme, and hope to see y'all there. And
What time is the pep
it's at
rally?
1:30 now. It's not in the morning. It's at
Okay.
1:30.
So it's 1:30 in
The big gym.
the main gym right now. Okay.
The construction is a little weird to get there, but I'm pretty sure you just enter in the back door by the old rubber gym.
Okay. Anybody out there that has an opportunity, you work remote like me, take your lunch a little bit late, go to the pep rally. Okay.
Yes.
And because it's going to be a good game on
Yes.
Friday.
We beat them last year, so
Yes, we got to do it again. They're going to want revenge, so we got to make sure they don't get it.
Mhm.
So thank you again, Emily, for your time, and good luck the rest of the
Good luck with
year and with
everything.
your injury.
Thank you.
So I guess we have now a coach from Coach Price. Is whom are we bringing up, Coach? Where's Coach Price? Is he elbow deep in some pizza? Okay, so we got one of the new staff members coming up. Welcome. Pull the mic fairly close to your face. You don't have to eat it, but
That good enough for you?
a little bit closer, a little bit lower. There you go.
All right.
And introduce yourself so that everybody online, and these guys know who you are. You probably screamed at them a few times.
Couple.
And so give us your name and tell us what position you coach?
Silver Aguirre. I coach receivers.
So, what was your first name?
Silver.
Silver,
Mhm.
like the precious
Precious
metal.
metal,
So
yep.
Silver Aguirre.
Metal, yes.
Okay, I'll mispronounce your name throughout the season, but
Okay.
Aguirre is not that hard to pronounce. But I always want to say Aguirre for some
Oh,
reason.
yeah.
So,
Heard that a couple times. Yeah.
so before we get into anything with your background, your parents named you Silver?
Real name's actually Silvano. Mom.
Silvano. So
Mhm.
it's more of a nickname or.
Well, actually, my mom married my dad. It's my dad's name. She hates the name, so has always called him Silver. So it's funny when I talk to friends of my dad and stuff, I can always tell if they were before my mom or after my mom. So before my mom, Silvano. After my
I
mom,
thought
is
maybe you had an
Silver.
older brother named Lone Ranger.
No. I
They're big fans of the old TV series, maybe.
Mhm.
So, what position do you coach?
Coach receivers here. Yep.
Receivers, and so you got a pretty talented group there of receivers. Give us your thoughts. I mean, you have only been around them for. When did you start?
I was coming. I would be here in the summer every now and then. Saw them a little bit 7-on-7 as the year was ending last year. Seeing what they can do. Pretty excited to coach this group. They're pretty talented. Got a lot of speed. Got good hands. Everything you look for in receiver, they've got it.
They run good routes. That's a key
Oh yeah.
there.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
if they don't, you're going to fix that, right?
Correct.
Blocking downfield.
That's right. Yeah. They're good blocking downfield. They look real good in our past scrimmage we had last week, and blocking for each other, and yeah, they look good in all those aspects: blocking, receiving, running routes.
So, what is your prior experience? And I don't mean in coaching. We'll get to that in a minute. Just with football in general, did you play high school ball? If so, where? Did you play college ball? If so, where?
I got from South Texas. I went to Surrey Lane High School. Played football there through high school. Played growing up and everything. Main sport was baseball. I played a lot more baseball, so I did that in college. Was always a fan of football and studied it and watched it, and now I get to coach it.
So, where in college did you play baseball at?
I was in South Texas at Pan Am. Played for 2 years there at Pan Am.
At where?
UTRGV now, but Pan Am back.
Oh, so Rio Grande.
Mhm.
Okay. In those programs, those the one out in West Texas and the one in South Texas, those things are growing quickly.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Permian Basin and then the Rio Grande Valley. Those schools are, those schools are they're going to be D1 before you know it.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So when you were in college, did you know you wanted to coach? And
So when I was in college, I coached baseball, like little select teams and things like that. So got a liking for it. When I quit playing baseball, I was actually working at a high school, volunteer coaching. So yeah, once I graduated, I had a job for me ready to go. So yeah, I just got into it.
so how many schools were you at another school here in Texas before you got hired by Leander?
This is my third school. When
Uh-huh.
I graduated from South Texas, I worked 2 years at McAllen Memorial down in South Texas. After that, I came up here and was at McNeil. And I've been at McNeil for the past 16 years and transferred this.
That's a pretty good school, McNeil.
Yeah, had a pretty good season last year.
Yeah. They've got some good athletes there,
Mhm.
not every year, but there are years when McNeil could run the table and,
Yeah.
and go deep in the playoffs. So
Mhm.
you coach receivers there as well?
I did, yes. Yeah.
So they kind of depending on talent, obviously, but they'll open up their offense there. And the Lions like to do that. They're kind of a big play offense in the last couple of years.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Definitely have some playmakers here for sure.
do you expect to see big plays, or do you want to see more methodical drives from your offensive?
I think when you get your offense and defense playing together and working for each other, the long drives and having a series with a lot of plays, it really helps your defense. But
You take a touchdown wherever you get it, right?
exactly, yeah. If it's a big time for an explosive play, we got it. Let's take it. We're going to score. We can score. For
Well,
sure.
and it doesn't hurt to to build a lead on someone. The key that with that is getting these guys to not let off their foot off
Yeah,
the gas.
no gas, no
So-
brakes. That definitely for sure.
So, what are your thoughts on the Pflugerville defensive backs? Do you see something that we need to be concerned with? I mean, do they have some playmakers that are going to ball hawk, or are they just fundamentally good, or do you see some holes in that secondary?
I think anyone can have a good day, right? So we can't really say we're 100% better than they are,
Right.
But I think we match up well. I think we're going to be able to take advantage of some of the stuff we do. Definitely, there's some guys in their secondary that we can take advantage of, and they've also got some playmakers there. So it's just a chess game really, and see who comes out ahead. But I think we're going to be successful again, definitely.
So what was your major in college?
I majored in biology with a minor in chemistry and math.
Biology and chemistry and math. Are you teaching those classes here?
I teach a college prep math class and an algebra one. Yeah,
So you got some serious workings on up there in that cranium.
something works up there. Yeah, I guess you could say that.
Chemistry is a difficult
Yeah.
endeavor. I know that I struggled in chemistry and calculus. Those are the two that,
Oh,
that
yeah.
kicked my rear when I was in high school and college.
Those
So,
will do it though for sure.
tell us a little bit about your family. If are you married? Do you have children? That kind of thing.
Yeah, I'm married. I just celebrated 15 years of marriage this past summer.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I've got 2 boys and a little girl. My oldest is a freshman actually at Leander this year. That's kind of a big reason why I left McNeil to come to Leander. You know,
Sure.
it's part of doing this career is to have that opportunity to be at the same school as your child.
Yeah.
And with where I live in the Leander community. So where I live and him to come to McNeil to drive the distance was just too much. And if I wanted this to happen, I knew I had to make a change. So I moved over here for my family and this community. It's great.
Well, and it's not an easy decision to move from
Yeah.
a school that you've spent 16
Oh,
years at, and then
yeah.
you've really planted some roots there,
Mhm.
and then you're going to uproot yourself. But it makes it a little easier when that school is in your community. Makes the drive to work a little bit shorter, and again, like you mentioned,
Yeah.
you get an opportunity to spend more time with your child.
Absolutely. And Leander High School, man, it feels like home. Like I'm enjoying myself there. Everything's been great so far. The kids are great. Players are great. It's been good.
Is your kid a
Fantasy.
receiver?
He is going straight baseball. He decided not to play football
Stay away
this
from
year.
you, huh?
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with
No.
being a baseball player. Personally, I think there's a benefit to playing multiple sports,
Absolutely.
but you have to be comfortable playing those sports. And,
Right,
and not to say that your son's not comfortable playing football, but if he feels the most comfortable playing baseball, baseball is one of those sports that even though there's a high school season in the spring every year, it's a year-round
year-round,
endeavor.
absolutely.
So
Absolutely is. It's yes. We've gotten to that point where it is year round.
So did you spend a lot of your time this summer going to travel baseball kind of stuff?
Yeah, tournaments just about every weekend. Yeah, between him and then I've got a 7th grader and a 5th grader. Between his baseball, the other 2 baseball, softball. Yeah, there was a lot of traveling.
Do you get an opportunity to coach them in baseball in the travel area?
Well, with UIL regulations and stuff like that, once I decided to take this job, I kind of had to stop. But growing up, yeah, I was helping him out.
So how hard is it to just sit there and not be out there coaching? I know that part of the reason I do this broadcasting stuff is because I did coach my kids in youth sports, and I wanted to stay involved. My kids have all graduated from Leander, but I just can't go away for some reason. It's
Yeah,
like I told Coach Price earlier, it's about pouring into these kids
absolutely.
and promoting them and encouraging, good citizens and people that,
Yeah.
are going to be good fathers and, good husbands and community members, just contributors.
Yep.
Talk about the kids that you've dealt with here in general, and how successful you think they could be moving forward.
You're talking about the players I've got
Yeah,
here right
your
now.
players.
Oh man, there's a lot of potential. One of the things, I tell parents all the time when you get asked like, after a season, the last few, like how successful was your season? And I'll tell parents, I can't tell you how successful this season is yet. I can tell you in 10 years when these guys go off and be successful kids and our fathers and families and uncles and all these things in their community and are successful, then I could tell you whether this season was successful or not. But it's
Right.
more than just wins and losses. It's about
is.
who the character building and what we're developing. We're trying to develop successful young men,
Well,
successful men.
Obviously you want to win every game, right?
Absolutely.
You want to be
Yeah.
perfect on
Yeah.
every
Yeah.
play.
Yeah.
But you're right. Ultimately, you can gauge your success by how many of these guys will come back and say, "Hey, Coach Aguirre, you
Mhm.
remember me?" Or
Yeah.
"Hey, it's been a while. I haven't seen you. I wanted to
Mhm.
stop by because I knew you would be here." Those are the moments that are the most special, in my
I
opinion.
agree. Even like, going out to dinner and running into a former player and his family and just seeing how well he's doing. Like, yeah, those are definitely wins.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Mhm.
And those are the moments you can kind of look back on and you know, not to reach back and pat yourself on the back, but ultimately say, you know what, I made some right decisions to get involved with this, and this is the fruit of what I sowed in these guys early on, or you know, individually. And you know, there are still coaches that, you know, when I'm in my hometown, if I see them, you know, I'm running to them,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know,
Yeah.
and shaking their hand
Do
and
the same
saying, "You're
thing.
the greatest," you know.
Do
So,
the same thing.
even though they used to scream at me and make me do pop-ups and all of that stuff. They called them Green Bay grass drills back then, but it's just pop-ups.
Yep.
So, you got any questions for Coach Aguirre?
How long were you at Memorial for?
Memorial, I was there for 2 years.
2
2
years.
years and moved up here. Yep.
That's good. That's where my family's from over there. My dad went to McAllen High.
Okay. Yeah.
And I had a
Parents
cousin
were there.
at Memorial.
Yeah. Yeah. My parents, my mom went to Mac High, and then dad was from Harlingen. But yeah, so I was there for 2
That
years
Bulldog
more.
pride over there.
Well, I'll say
Like
this
Bulldog.
about the Valley. The Valley is in South Texas in general. The football in high school has improved drastically
yeah.
over like the last 10 or 12
Mhm.
years, because you would, I mean, you know, even I think his name was Landry Gilpin. He ended up at Southwestern University. He went to a Valley school. He was Mr. Football on Dave Campbell's Texas football coming
yeah.
out of high
Yeah.
school. So.
Yeah.
You know, he was a
Really
running
cool.
quarterback, but man, he racked up a lot of yards on the
Mhm.
ground as well as throwing the ball. So, you know, there's just improvement all over the state, really all over the country.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, football has become just a real powerhouse in our society.
Absolutely.
And to me, I benefited from learning on how to work with others, how to accept constructive criticism. I say that because sometimes it didn't seem so constructive, but ultimately it was, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Made you stronger, made you better.
yeah, and you know, when you're a youngster, sometimes you're a little more sensitive to that kind of stuff, but you learn about it. And so, you know, I commend anyone that enters the profession, because it is a full-time commitment. I
It
mean,
is.
you're literally looking at 16 hours a day for 3/4 of the year, if
Yep.
not more. So, well,
sure.
Coach Aguirre, it was nice to meet you. I think we got one more coach coming up. Maybe.
Yep. Here. Yep.
Yeah, well, we look forward to talking to you again in the
Absolutely.
coming podcasts. You might not be an interview, but you know, I'll certainly come up and say hi to you.
All right. Yeah. Sounds good. Thanks.
Should be able to remember Silver.
Yeah. there you go.
That is my grandmother's maiden name, actually. Silvers.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah. So,
All right. Well, thank you.
yep, I appreciate it.
Yep,
Yep.
thank you.
Take care, Coach.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think we got one more interview. Coach Price, can you send up the next one? All right, we're gonna have a player. Looks like. How's it going? So like, twist it the other way. Yeah, you're gonna have to come around. It's all right. You can spin it all the way. It could stay on the other side. Now move it just a little bit below your mouth, right close to your mouth. All right.
Right here?
So go on ahead and tell us your name, your class, and do you want that ear open, or do you? It's not. Just it folds just like this. No. Just go like that. It's okay.
All right, we're
Everybody's always a little bit nervous their first time. There's no problem. Tell us what your name is and your class.
my name is Garrett Pites. I'm class of 2025.
So, Derek, you're graduating this year, so you're a senior.
Yes, sir.
What is your position that you primarily play?
My primary position is tight end, but I also play defensive end. I play both. I love to be able to say I can do multiple things.
Can you turn his mic up just a smidge? So move it just a little bit closer. Sometimes it's not quite. You got it? Will you turn up his mic just a hair?
You good?
He's in. I think I'm in one. I think he's two, and you're two, and he's three. It's okay. It's the first game. it's just like the first game. You sometimes you have some errors, you got to work through them, and that's what we're dealing with here. So Derek, you were injured last year, right?
Yes, sir.
So, yeah, it sounds like he's completely off.
This is 3, you said?
Turn 2 back up. No, that's down. Go all the way. More. Go on ahead and talk.
Hello.
Yeah, there we go. So, you were injured last year. I talked to your dad a little bit about it. You missed probably the first 3/4 of the season, and you were able to get in and play a little bit. Talk about how difficult it is to be on the sidelines dealing with injury. In a sport like football, people get hurt all the time, right?
Yes, sir.
So talk about that and your journey back to the field.
Well, I broke my foot in March of last year,
Mhm.
and as soon as I got back, I ended up shattering my collarbone. So that was really difficult for me because I was really looking forward to that season. And when they told me my first game back was going to be A&M Consolidated, which
Mhm.
was going to be like a whole another like month
Yeah.
away from that. So I was really thankful to even come back that early and to miss that little amount of time. But it was really hard because not being able to like run or do as much for like 6 months, it was pretty brutal and hard to come back and be the same athlete you were before. But I didn't want it to shake me, just came back, just kept working. It's and one thing that really helped me is I joined the wrestling team after the season, and that helped me a lot. Wrestling translates great to football.
Oh
And
yeah,
I had a
it's
great
big
time. Oh yeah, and I had a great time. Uh, Coach McLean and Coach Britton, our wrestling coaches, they really took care of me. It's it was a really fun time, and I could already feel the difference of being an athlete and how I feel as a football player because I did that. So I would recommend joining the wrestling for any like young athletes that are want to play football. It's just it's a great like second sport to play.
Really, any contact sport. I mean,
Yeah.
basketball players can benefit from wrestling as well. One of the things that, my kids wrestled too and played football and wrestled. One of the things that I noticed with my children was a great improvement in their abilities. They were offensive linemen to block. Being a
Right.
tight end, you're going to be called on to block quite a bit, right?
Yes, sir.
So talk about the keys to blocking and the benefits of leverage that you learn in a sport like wrestling.
Yes, I learned a lot more about like my balance, leverage, and hand fighting too. Being able to use my hands and manipulate somebody else. It's great. I could feel so much more powerful, like blocking people and all this. I'm so thankful and I'm so happy I finally did it. It's great. And even for like linebackers learning how to tackle or D line or any defensive position really, it's it's great. And I'm really glad that I chose to do it.
Well, when you're in a position where you block a lot, and you're against a quality opponent, it can become frustrating if they're so good that you're having difficulty with them. But the benefits of wrestling kind of even that out. So, that person may be a little bit stronger, maybe they're a little bit bigger or heavier, but your abilities that you learn in wrestling to use leverage and when they're off balance. I mean, because you can feel a guy off balance when your hands are on him. So okay, he's off balance. I can throw him this way, or I can throw him that way with one arm, right?
Right.
So
And it just comes naturally too. As the season goes on, as the wrestling season has gone on, that kind of stuff just develops. Being able to, it's just second nature now to know this person. I could push them this way, I could push them that way. It's the longer I did it, the more it just came. And even if you're running a route, like someone throws your hands trying to jam you off the line, just get the hands out the way. I've developed that skill too a lot more because of a lot of it because of wrestling.
well, and you're in a weight class up at the top, right? They have these little, like, every 4 or 5 pound weight classes, and they get up to the top, and then you have the cruiser and the heavy, and the heavy guys, they just throw anybody in there, right? Anybody over the minimum weight. Is that where you wrestled in the heavyweight?
I wrestled in the second highest, the 215 class.
Yeah.
It's a
But it's tough to stay it that way.
right. I was always near the limit was 215. I always bounced around from 210 to 212 to stay under. But
So you got to watch the carbs, and
Oh,
you
yeah.
got to drink a lot of water. You make sure that
Right.
that you're getting your workouts in. So, it is one of those things that now that you're in football season, though, you can kind of try to pack on some weight during this time, and then when wrestling comes around, you'll work your way back down to your normal wrestling weight.
right. But yeah, all that. Thankfully I've never been in a spot where I'm like, oh, I'm over by a couple pounds. I need to hurry up and before a tournament or a duel or something. So
That's
yeah.
good because that is a struggle for especially the bigger guys. If a lot of the guys in the super heavyweight class, they're not as great a wrestlers. They're just big guys, right? They're hard to throw around, but um, those that next weight down, that's probably where the best wrestlers of size are. So you're competing against the best wrestlers, in the area for that weight class and most of the weight class. Of course, there's some little wrestlers that are real good at the 105-pound and stuff, but you probably throw those guys around like a rag doll.
They're very skilled though. They might
They
be
climb all
small.
over you.
Yeah. But thankfully I had a really good partner. My partner was always our heavyweight, and he was always a really good partner, tremendous athlete. So so I'm also thankful for him because he always pushed me to be better every day. So
Well, I want to just mention and credit Coach McLean for that wrestling program that Leander has developed, and it's all led by him. He took wrestling. It's not a guy who wrestled. He knows as much about wrestling as anyone that I know. Now, of course, he's smart enough to connect with real wrestlers, and he'll bring some of those guys in. There's a local wrestling gym that he'll rely on, but. When you see a coach that's as dedicated, does that inspire you to be that dedicated in your own endeavors?
oh, absolutely. Coach McLean is just phenomenal.
yeah.
He was always there. He really was patient with me because it was my first year. I was definitely a little clumsy at the start. So I'm really thankful for him to be patient with me and work with me as the year gone on. And it really paid off because now I could really feel the differences as a football player and how much better I feel and how much more comfortable and explosive I am as an athlete.
Okay, so now you're a senior, right? You're in your last season of football. You'll probably wrestle again this season. But what are your plans beyond high school? Are you looking at college? Do you have a vocation you're looking to go into?
I do want to play football in college, and I'm looking to go into something with finance. I'm talking to my aunt. She did that. I want to learn how to be able to manage money or something in business. But I do want to play football in college. I want to see what my offers are after the season, what my options are, and choose from there. But I do want to play in college, and I want to major in something business, something finance. I'm not 100% sure yet.
So given that you had an injury last year, you're probably not on a lot of radars for recruiting. Have you had any interest? Have you gone to camps this summer and generated some of that interest with your workouts?
I have. I've gone to a handful of camps this summer. I've been emailing coaches, keeping up on Twitter, sending DMs, emails, all this stuff. I had a couple D3 offers so far, but I am looking to stay on people's radars, stay in contact.
What schools have offered you?
Mary Hardin Baylor
Yeah.
and Hendrix College is in
Hendrix College, and
yeah.
that's in Oklahoma, right?
it's in Arizona.
Arizona.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Mary Hardin Baylor, they win a lot of championships, but they got a big program. There's a lot
They
of
do.
kids that go there.
It's a beautiful campus too.
Oh yeah, that's their stadium is the best D3 stadium. I do Southwestern University games. They're in Georgetown. They used to play. They were in the same conference for a
Mhm.
little while, and it's the stadium I enjoy the most. I would like to have played in that stadium. It for a small school, it's as good as it gets.
Yeah, it's absolutely beautiful.
And they have great facilities there. So, well, I encourage you to continue your education. I encourage you to continue your participation in football as much as you can. Frank's in roofing. I work for a student loan company in their compliance department. but we love football so much we can't get away from it. So we always find our way back some way or another. And people that truly enjoy the sport, that love it, it's the same thing from my experience. So whether it's just coaching your kids or just contributing in your community, regardless, stay around sports. And I'll say this, I've said it a couple of times, this sport, being around them, other people, it's about pouring into those people, right? You want to build relationships. You're a senior, so you got 10 games as of today before a potential postseason. Maybe you get some more, but you've got guaranteed 10 games, and it's done. And if you don't get a college offer, you may not snap a helmet on again to compete. So, value the time. Put in the work, enjoy your teammates, hold them accountable, hold yourself accountable, and everything will work out for you, Derek.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate you coming out tonight. You did a good job.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Offense or defense? Which one's your bread
Oh.
and butter?
Football.
Well,
Like that.
All right. That's,
All right. Thank y'all for having me on.
Take care.
that's a football answer right there. Huh?
Yeah. It doesn't matter. Where you need me, coach.
Yeah.
That's where I'll play.
Right there. All right.
And I'm not sure if that's going to be it or if we're going to have one more. We'll just give Coach an opportunity. Coach Price, do we have any more? Coach Price, do we have any more interviews? He's over there enjoying wings and pizza.
About to take a nap, right?
We got any more? He's sending one more, and I think that'll be it. All right, we got one more. How you doing?
Good.
All right, let's move that mic just a little bit closer. There you go. Go ahead and this is Frank. Introduce yourself to us. Tell us your name and your position.
Calvin Scott Kessler,
Just a little bit. Turn it down just a little. There you go.
inside linebacker.
Inside?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you're a defensive guy.
Yes, sir.
Talk to us. Are you a junior or a
Senior.
Senior. Okay. Usually coach sends only seniors, but I just wanted to be sure. So, and what was your name again?
Calvin
Calvin, and your last name?
Kessler.
Oh, okay. You know what, Calvin? I've called your name numerous times as the PA doing sub-varsity and varsity games. So it's sometimes it's nice to put a face with the name that you see on the roster because when my kids attended here, I knew all the kids, but they graduated a long time ago, and so I don't know you guys. I don't get to spend the time with you, and so it's always nice to be able to meet you in person after calling your name several times. So you spent some time on offense in the past, haven't you?
Freshman year, I was running back, but that's it.
That's what I recall, that you were a ball carrier. So you're now tackling ball carriers on the inside of the defense. There's a lot of collisions that go on there between those tackles. Are you inside the tackle or are you outside when you line up?
Outside.
Outside the
Yeah.
tackle. So what is your primary responsibility at that linebacker spot?
C gap, and then it was just very outside the tackle, and then sometimes inside the tackle, and then a lot of times I'm just scraping over the top, seeing where the running back comes from.
Just looking for that hole that opens up so you can go put your nose in it.
Yeah.
Mr. Frank here spent a little time as a running back and a little bit on defense. And so he was filling holes on both sides there.
Hills Country dozen right there.
Yeah. And so he can really appreciate the contact that goes on there in the middle of the offense. But you got to have a little bit of speed in the position you're in, right? Because you mentioned
Sure.
scraping outside, and against a team like Pflugerville, who probably most of their skill guys are track guys too, right? So
I didn't know that.
yeah, but you just got to assume they're that fast, right? So how do you deal with that? Do you are you that fast and you can cover those guys, or or do you rely on just this part to make sure you're in the right position, you make the right read? Do you spend a lot of time preparing by watching film?
Yeah, we spent a lot of time practicing our pass coverages, but honestly, they didn't seem that like crazy fast on film. I think we'd be fine.
It film can be deceptive though. It can very well be deceptive. So be prepared.
Oh yeah.
I
So
remember last year too. It was it wasn't too hard to
yeah,
get it.
they that game last year, Leander, pretty much controlled the game for the entirety of the game for the most part. But there were some moments that you could see flashes of that Pflugerville team being better than what the final result is, and that's what worries me because year in year out, when Leander plays Pflugerville, it's a rivalry game. Whether you know it or not, these schools have been playing for close to 100 years. Every year. There's some seasons in there where they weren't scheduled, either not in the same district or the preseason games not scheduled. But it is an ongoing rivalry. It's kind of like Texas and OU, but in the Central Texas high school area. Do you have that same feeling when you think you're going to be playing the Pflugerville Panthers, or do you just it's just the next opponent?
Just the next opponent. The only teams I really think about that are like Cedar Park and then Glen.
Yeah, Cedar Park has become a real big rival, partially because of their own success, and partially because of the issues that have occurred in the growth in the district. Not to get into too much detail with that, but when you build a new high school and you take football players from Leander, that hurts the program, right? And that's starting to level out where their numbers are starting to increase here at Leander, and the teams are bigger in terms of number of kids. So, uh, what do you think about your defense overall? You got a linebacker crew. What do you think about your linebacker crew?
We've gotten a lot better since last year. Now we got 3 linebackers on the inside instead of 2, so it should help a lot more on the run.
You get a little bit of a breather here and there from those guys.
Yeah,
So do you do special teams as well?
is there kickoff, punt, and just kickoff and punt?
Now that's obviously because you're a very effective tackler in space, right? You don't get put on the kickoff team unless you, one, fast, and two, you can tackle in open areas. It's the same thing for the punt team. Do you enjoy those as much as defense, or do you just do those because that's kind of what's expected?
No, those are really fun to just run down the field and hit someone. That's how freshman year. That's how I got my starting spot because his coach saw me run down there and get a tackle.
It is an area that if you can prove yourself as a special teams guy, that positionally on the offense or defense, they're going to really look at you as a potential weapon. So, do you have any plans to go to college, or what does your future after Leander look like?
Yeah, I really like the Ivy League schools because they seem like a good fit for me. And then just talking to like the MIT coaches and stuff.
So
Those are
you're
good.
interested in playing football up in the Ivy League, huh?
Yes, sir.
So there's some pretty good football teams up there. Yale's pretty good, I mean, relative to their level of competition. So you'll be playing those guys. Now MIT is not an easy school to get into. That's the Massachusetts Institute of Technology,
Yes, sir.
right? So that's like way up there in terms of reputation. What is your major going to be when you go into college?
Probably mathematics. I want to be like a quant.
Quantum?
Is a quant. Is like analyze financials and stuff.
Oh, okay. So you're looking at going. So you and Derek both are looking at finance, right? Isn't that what he said?
Yeah.
So is that something that maybe there's a future partnership there, investing people's retirement funds or something? Would you be interested in something like that?
Yeah, I like it.
So there's also a baseball dad that owns a investment company here. It's Ruin. Do you know the Ruins?
No.
Okay. Well, I'll introduce you to him if I get an opportunity, because it might be a potential future employment opportunity. So are you from Texas?
Yes, sir.
So you've never been to Boston, or have you visited?
I've visited Boston a few times.
So you've been there a couple of times. So you know it's somewhere you would like to go live.
Yeah, I went there recently because my mom was in the Boston Marathon, and it was just a really fun city.
What about the winter weather?
I don't think I've gone there in the winter, so, but
That's the thing you got to watch out for it because it does snow up there. But looks like we're winding down, Calvin. So I'm gonna thank you for joining us here, and I wish you very good luck this season. And I will say that go ahead and consider that whatever you do in your future, that you have some role in your community in sport, football preferably. You know, you obviously want to go play college ball. Maybe you'll coach. Maybe you'll just put on a headset one day, set up the equipment, and broadcast your local high school. But I always say that if you truly love the sport of football, it never goes away. So even if it's in fantasy football or whatever, you're going to be watching it. So enjoy this season as a senior. Don't let these moments pass you by, because before you know it, you're going to be looking back going, I miss it. So congratulations and good luck this year,
thank
Calvin.
you.
So that's going to be tonight's podcast. We're going to wrap up. I just want to mention I was doing Calvin getting a standing ovation. I was doing a little bit of study today, and I came across a Bible verse that I wanted to communicate to everybody. Proverbs 30:30 says, "A lion which is mighty among beasts and does not turn away from any." That describes this team. You're fearless and you're strong. Don't let anyone intimidate you this season. Let's go run the table. Go Lions!
Baby.
Good night.